We want to create our first little project in Power BI Desktop. Let's now download it and connect it to the first data. So this is the homepage of Power BI that we saw in the last video. If we now go to Products up here and select Power BI Desktop, then we have two options, Download and Advanced Download options. If you press Download, then the download will immediately start and then you can install Power BI Desktop, but you couldn't choose your language and you can't change the language after you installed Power BI Desktop. So I would press Advanced Download options right here. If you then scroll down, then you can select the language you want to install Power BI Desktop in right here. I will now select English and press the download button, and I hope you do the same. And then you can simply follow the installation guide, and after that we will see each other when we start Power BI Desktop together for the first time. We installed Power BI Desktop. Let's open it now. And when you open Power BI Desktop, you can see this Sign In option. This is not necessary at the moment, as we will work locally in Power BI Desktop. We will talk about that sign in later when we talk about Power BI Service, the cloud application. If you want to sign into Power BI Desktop right here, you can of course do that. The only thing you need to know is that you need a work or a school email address. You cannot register with a Gmail address, for instance. However, as we don't have to sign in right here, we will simply click on to Get Data now, right there. And now you can see that you can connect Power BI Desktop to multiple data sources. Now one quick note before we start. In this first initial project, so in this and the next two videos, I only want to show you how easy to use Power BI Desktop is and how quickly you can create your first visualizations. So in case you don't understand everything I'm doing right here, don't worry. We will talk about everything you see right here and about more throughout the course. So for the moment, just follow my guidance and enjoy Power BI Desktop. So back to our Get Data function. So we need data and we don't have any. So why don't we just get some data from the web? To do this, we simply can click onto that search bar right here and type web, like this. And if we now select the second option right here and press connect at this button, then we can see that we have to enter a URL right here. Well, as we don't have a URL right now, we have to look for one. Let's do this. So a good data set for our first initial project would be GDP data, for instance, for different countries also. You can find data like that if you search for the IMF World Economic Outlook database. So the second result right here. And down here we have the link that we need. Another note. At the time when I recorded that video, the April 2017 version was the latest one. In case you watch this video later, you might have a more recent version. This doesn't change the applied steps that we will do right now. The only thing that changes, of course, is the data. Now, let's click onto that April 2017 version right now, like this. Now we select by countries, up here. Here we can select all countries. Here we click Continue in the right upper part. We said that we want to have GDP data, so let's select the ones at current prices in US dollar right here. Press Continue. And now, one last time, then we got it. Press Prepare Report right here. And now we got a table right there. This is good, and we could also download that table right here. But we don't have to do this, because we can now simply select the URL right there and copy it into our Power BI Desktop file. Let's do this. So I now paste the URL into this field and press OK. Now the navigator opened, and the navigator allows us to select the information that we want to retrieve from that web page. So the information we want to connect Power BI Desktop to basically. In the left part, you can select the different parts of that page. So if you click onto document right here, for instance, you see that this is not the table that we want. Let's maybe change from the table view up here to the web view, like this. And now you can see that the page is categorized in different tables. And we can also see that table null is not the right one, but table 1 is the correct table. So if we select that by ticking that box right here, which is then also ticked in the left part right there, and then take a look at the table view again, right here, then we can see that we selected the correct data. Well, now that we know that, we simply have to press, well, what do we have to press now? We have two options. We have load and edit. Again, I will not talk about the details right now. You will understand the differences between those two options throughout the course. So just a quick information for the moment. If we press load, then we will immediately load the data into the data model. If we press edit, then we will first open the query editor. The query editor is kind of a separate tool in Power BI Desktop that allows us to prepare the data. So for instance, to delete rows or delete columns or add columns or a lot more. And then load this cleaned data into the data model. As we first want to prepare the data, we will click edit right here to open that query editor. Now let's press that. And now you can see the query editor with our initial project data for the first time. Let's take a look at what we can do right here.